guys, it's Jay, it's Queen Jay. I'm back, and I have my third guest. His name is Nytelife. He is a rapper, music producer, and he is one of the judges on the Gauntlet Beat Battle. How you doing, Nytelife?
I'm great, Queen. Thank you so much for having me. This is an honor and a privilege to be here, so appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. So, I wanted to get started with you and ask, so when did you realize music was more than just a hobby, and how did you get started into becoming a rapper and a music producer?
Well, for the most part, my sister was younger and around 11 or 12. My sister used to take me to studios with her because she used to sing for a bunch of Bay Area artists out, Big Mac and AK and Mac Lou and the other cats out here. And I used to go and sit in those sessions. So I'd be the studio rat. I'd be sitting there and laying down hooks or whatever. There'd be artists that be there. We'd go back and forth. They'd be like, let me hear what you got, little man. And I freestyle for them, or just be underneath the engineer, G-Man Stan, shout out to him, learning and seeing stuff. If you ever a part of the mixing process, a lot of times it's not fun, especially not for kids. But for me, I was really interested in that. I was really interested in seeing artists be able to record, and it enticed me as far as what I really wanted to do. I dabbled in writing songs and recording, and I just really, my sister just allowed me the opportunity to be able to do that. Me and my brother-in-law passed last year. God bless. And they the ones that gave me my first opportunity to be able to get on the mic and try to figure out what I was doing. I didn't know shit from shit. Just didn't know how to put words together. Didn't know bar structure. Didn't know as far as being able to write things, to write hooks. They taught me all of that stuff from the ground up, and pretty much got me by.
That's awesome. So, what is your earliest memory of your first rap? And when did you put it out, and how was that process of putting that out to the public?
Well, I can tell you, my first rap was garbage. And a lot of people say their first rhymes was probably terrible. And mine was, I grew up in the Bay Area, so I thought I was going to be the next Spice One, or it was a lot of gangster rap out there, so I was trying to do that lane. I didn't know shit about shit as far as selling no guns or selling no crack or nothing like that, but I'm sitting here talking about trying to kill and dismember people and stuff. Yeah, and just, it was crazy to be able to do those things. And then when you actually listen back to it and was like the amount of growth that I had between there and now, it's like content comes from not only your environment, but the people you grow up with. And as an artist, I grew up as an artist around other people that were doing things in that lane of Souls of Mischief, hieroglyphics and stuff. And so when you're learning people that write like that, it's like they question what you're doing. You trying to come over here with this gangster shit, and you got a bunch of individuals that's basically rhyming about things going on in life and skills and life subject matter. It kind of gets you to be like, well, maybe I want to do that. And that's where I just veered off into doing something different.
Right. Isn't that how hip hop got started anyways? Talking about, look at Grandmaster Flash when he was talking about living in poverty. I can't rap exactly how he raps, but I know the words in my head. I'm not going to try to do it on screen, but that's how I got the foundation of it, how it got started. So
a lot of my heroes that I looked up to was doing that at that time. So just being able to hear those things in action and be moved by people rapping about other things besides what was going on. People were rapping about emotional shit, and I was like, it was eye-opening to have people rap about things or having their heart broken or going through mental struggles or going through other things, or rapping about how the economy is messing up their area and messing up their hoods and all this other shit. And it's like getting exposed to those things was like, well, I want to challenge myself creatively to be able to write things and write stories without experience.
Yeah. So was that hard for you in the beginning? Because it taps into a part of you that has to be vulnerable.
Not really, because I think as you're growing up, you go through all of those things. You go through heartbreak and girlfriends and running the streets and having fun and going through different things. Real life rap is something that's important for you to be able to express. And those type of rhymes are the things that have the longevity, and as far as that are real. You're trying to be catchy, you're trying to write something for the moment. I'm trying to write something that 10 years later you can listen to and be like, and still relate to it. That's how I feel. When I put in Illmatic, I listen to that and it's the first time I heard it. And that's possibly the biggest compliment that you give an artist. And that's the type of music that I felt like that I wanted to make. I wanted things to be timeless, things that could have some staying power around, or things that is relatable to other people. Because you write things and stuff is here today, gone tomorrow, then you are the forgotten artist. I don't want to be forgotten.
Right. You want things, especially that's how we connect from person to person, is by shared experiences, going through trials and tribulations, and then finding a solution for it. So I like that. I love that, actually, because I wouldn't say there's a lot of it going on. The unconscious rap, talking about certain things, maybe gun violence or this and that, and it's good for that time period. For example, I was listening to, what was that name of that? I'm not going to name the artist. I was listening to a particular song, and it was back in the early 2015 or something like that. And I'm like, this song isn't even really popping like that anymore because it's just a beat. You're just nodding your head to the beat. It's not really anything of substance, especially nothing that we can relate to that was 10 years ago. So I definitely understand what you're saying. What keeps you creating when nobody's watching you?
Well, my whole reading for has changed. I got a lot of grays in my beard, so that whole thing about wanting to dream to be signed and go on tour and do all of this shit, that's pretty much out the window for me at this point. But for me, I want to be able to have something that my kids can be able to pick up and hear my voice whenever I'm gone. I would love to be able to hear my mother's voice and my father's voice, any kind of words of wisdom, or just hear their laugh, or to hear things, know that anytime they can be able to go on to Spotify, or they can be able to go to Bandcamp and listen to any of the projects and be able to hear my voice again. And it's pretty much about legacy with that. I'm not looking for anything else at this point. Of course, I want to make good music and I want to move people and I want people to be able to relate to it. But all of this stuff is for my kids. I have 5 kids and all of them are very important to me, and all of them have some type of art about them. And I just want to make sure that they have something of me when I'm gone.
Oh, wow. That's very beautiful. And so is that why you got into the whole pins and needles? You're on volume 5 right now. Is that what inspired you to make that?
Yeah, I came out at the beginning of this year and I thought about it and I was like, well, I have a lot of unreleased music and I don't want to die with a bunch of stuff on my hard drive. That would be the biggest mistake that I could possibly make. Whatever is there is new to me, is new to you, regardless of whether it's old to me or not. So put it out, let people hear it, let people find things that they like about it. They may find things they don't like. I don't really care. Right. It's just a matter of me being able to do this. And I said, well, I want to make sure that I do a series that's going to carry over the course of a year and I can get to 12 pins and needles. And they're just going to be EPs, something that's going to be a quick listen that doesn't take too much time, because people they consume music differently at this point. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to sit there and want to listen to 27 songs unless you Chris Brown. People don't want to listen like that. They just want to be able to get out, find the songs they like, listen to those songs multiple times, and then to move on to the next thing. So I just try to find something that was going to be in line with that and built those projects based on that. And also producers that have been on, people that I've collaborated with. These are opportunities to be able to showcase things that they've done, trusting in me to produce. There's so many producers that I've already been able to showcase. There's Brain Got Blaps. There is D Dot. I got a song with D Dot. D Ski, The Illegal, Sandman, of course. My brother. I got a song with Focus, the big bro.
Shout out.
So it's like there's so many other people that I've been able to showcase on there too. Drugs Beats, of course. It gives me an opportunity to be able to showcase them, because the market in their name, respect and love, because they allow me to always go on.
For you, how did you get into being the judge on the Gauntlet Beat Battle, and what has it taught you?
As far as the Gauntlet is concerned, I was originally a fan of it when they first started. I support my brother Sandman, and Lens I didn't really know at the time, but I me and Sandman are really close. He's like my brother or whatever, and so he was doing this, and so I was the one faithfully logging in, faithfully cheering on producers, doing all of that stuff. And so one day an artist that I had on 10 City Recordings, and he was a producer, his name was Ricky. That's my little brother. And he was showcasing on there, and something happened where I didn't agree with one of the with something that was that Lynn said when he was judging. So after we got off, I was on like a kind of a 3-way call with them or whatever. And so I said, hey, I think you should have judged Ricky differently because he doesn't do the same things that everybody else does. And so Lynn says to me, well, if you think you can do better, why don't you judge? And I was like, all right. And so we laugh about it. We laugh about it now, but that's what kind of changed the tide. I mean, they had another cat that was up there, Mitch Wise. Shout out to Mitch Wise. He was a cool dude, man, but he decided he wanted to exit the show or whatnot. And then that allowed me to be able to have the opportunity to be able to get on. And so, having that opportunity to be able to judge these beats. And me, I wasn't a producer. I'm not an actor producer. I am an artist, and I used to produce, but I know the producing fundamentals and all of that shit. So that served me well as far as being a judge on the Gauntlet. And thankfully, the people that compete on there give me the respect as if I am an actor producer. And I try to give them as much quality feedback as I can. It's really changed me as an artist because my expectation of what I think are proper beats for me to be able to rhyme on and proper beats for me to be able to listen. It makes me listen to beats differently now. Before I was like, I always make the adage like, the smallest kid at the smallest kid at the breakfast table of a big family. You got to hurry up and eat before everybody else. You got to hurry up and eat. And so if somebody was giving me beats or whatever, I was just rocking on anything because they gave it to me, not because it passed the quality test or I thought it was good. I was like, well, I'm going to make it good just by rocking on it. And then you get around these other producers and you see the stuff that they're doing and you hear the stuff that they're doing. And it's like, man, I could be rocking on this type of shit. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing to myself? I have to create some standards for myself. So I got to say no. I got to start saying no to some shit before I can start saying yes to real, to real production, to real quality production. And it's really made me kind of sharpen my evaluation skills as an artist with that, and also as a judge. It really allows me to be able to showcase skill. I bounce a lot of stuff off of what Sandman or Lens are doing because they are so meticulous and so detailed in their breakdowns and critiques and how they can Sandman hears shit in beats that I don't hear. Like, oh man, you had that little that little floating flute in the background and that hearing stuff like that, and it's just like, okay, well then how do I say things of value if it's going to be if Lens have went and Sandman have went, what do I have a value to be able to say to them? And so I have to find my lane with that, and I try to be as detailed as possible as I can. And thankfully, they give me the opportunity to be able to do it. So it's been a real good experience being on the Gauntlet and being a judge.
I had no idea because with me being a contendant on the my experience with that, coming in brand new out the gate, only 2 years, maybe a year and a half, I would say consistently only for a few months, to be honest, getting onto the show and being hearing what they had to say as the judge, and they could very much tell when opponents are using plugins and when they're using like loops and they're not breaking them up or they're not making them authentic, or you are using the loops but you're just using it. You're not going around it. So that was the reason why I got on there, and that's how we met and everything. Me and you met because I knew the show it's gonna give me the best criticism. It's constructive criticism, and I trust the opinion of Sandman, Lens, you, because I know you're telling me that so I could grow. And that's what I really respect. Instead of me going out making the beat and then going to like Phoenix or at a bar or at a beat battle show here, you're gonna get booed.
Right.
Stuff sucks. They're not gonna give you the constructive criticism. They're not gonna be like, this is what you could work on, and they're not gonna do that. So I really respect you guys on a whole nother level. Like, I look at you guys as brothers, and and just top. And I work with Liz. We're actually working together on like a couple songs, and I'll shoot him something back real quick, and he gives the same feedback that he does on the show, and I really respect that from you guys.
Yeah. Lenz is hard on his critiques, but he's right. 95% of the time he's right with those things, and allowing him the space to be able to do those things is like, sometimes I'll be the hammer sometimes, but most of the time Lenz is the hammer with it. But it's needed because Lenz is just truthful. We often want to break down and build back up. We don't want it to sound like we're just gutting somebody for things that we don't think are done, or things are done properly, which we try to frame it well. Sandman's really good at framing things. Yeah. When it comes to that, he can break your heart and then make it feel like it's your fault. He does a good job with doing that. And he says that on American Idol he's Paula Abdul, Lenz is Simon Cowell, and I'm Randy. And it's the truth. I mean, as far as how the setup really goes, and to be able to critique these producers, and sometimes it builds strong relationships, and sometimes it ends relationships. Like, you could be cool with somebody and you give them a bad critique, they don't talk to you anymore. And you have to have thick skin to be like, all right, well, this is what it is. This is a competition, and it's a judge competition, so it is at the whim of what the judges think that they are hearing and what they think is good enough at that point. And you have to have allowances. We're human. We're gonna make errors. People are not gonna always agree with it. I'm gonna hear things differently than Lenz hears, and I'm gonna hear things differently than Sandman hears, and vice versa. So having those three opinions, I think, are very strong opportunities, because we be in the back sometimes and really just be grinding it out and not being able to come to decisions sometimes, and we have to just make hard decisions. But that's part of the gig. That's what we sign up for. But ultimately, this is what the community is about. This is what they ask for. They want those critiques. They want to be judged hard. They want to be graded hard, which is why they continue to come back to the Gauntlet. There's so many platforms out there that are doing so many great things, and but we want to be able to make our niche, investing time and effort and energy, and having something of value for producers that are coming through our brackets. We want them to leave with something, and even if you get cut down and you get pissed off, you come back and you compete harder, and you go harder, and then we remember that, and we always had that callback. So it's an interesting dichotomy that happens with the Gauntlet and with the producers on the Gauntlet, as you've been a part of. You've made some notes of some of the things that you've done, and we've seen you grow as a producer too. So we love what you're doing. And if Lenz takes his time to work with you, that is all the calling card that we all need.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted at all. And I love I know that's kind of weird, but I don't care. I love the constructive criticism, because you have to take the good with the bad. You can't sign up. I feel like, as a producer, whatever you want to call me, a sound maker, you know what I mean? I actually have produced one person before, but you got to take the good with the bad. And when you sign up for these shows, that was the whole reason I signed up for it, was to get that. I want to know what I can improve on, because you just don't want to. I feel like you can't go into these shows. You can't have high ego, be very egotistical. You can't let that interfere with friendships. I don't agree with that, because, like I said, it's a professional. I feel like it's a very professional show, just like American Idol. Mm-hmm. And you don't want somebody giving you false information so you can go out there and fail, or you're going to get really criticized by other people. Like I said, going out there in the public and playing your beats, and people are going to be like, that sucks, or that's not on beat, bro. And and then, why don't you get it in an atmosphere where it's not coming from somebody that's narcissistic, or somebody that is trying to bring you down. They know you're good, but they're trying to bring you down. Because there's a lot of that mental stuff going on, especially nowadays. So I appreciate it. I love it. You saw that I went and hired somebody on the side because I'm like, hey, I might get back on the show sounding like this again. I got to figure this out, man, if I want to be a music producer. So
yeah. The beautiful thing about our show is that these opportunities that these producers have, that when they come through our brackets, it's an opportunity for them to be able to use this as their business card, for them to get placements, business card for them to be able to, put themselves in contentions to be able to get Grammys and stuff like that. We had so many Grammys walk through this show, and people that grew up through this show, and people that got placements on this show. It's a whole fraternity, and it's a whole community, and the producers are the ones that built it. Sandman likes to say that our bracket is the star of the show. It's not. It's actually the music. The music is the star of the show. People show up to hear beats. They don't show up to hear us pontificate all the time or make, or wisecrack or be entertaining. Our job is to be entertaining, to make the process go by a little bit smoother and give it some type of extra oomph regarding it. But for the most part, people are there to be not only be entertained, but they're there to hear production. Top flight production, and the skills and the things that these guys and ladies display on any given night is insane. It's just you walk away from it like we're there for 3+ hours, and you walk away from it like, man, that didn't even seem like it was that much time. I lost myself in the gauntlet. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, but on the side, I've gotten some mixed reviews. Jamie, you taking us on a journey? It sounds good. Just improve this. Or, man, that shit sounds like trash. What you like? Where this girl? Hey, like I said, you got to take the good with the bad, and I cannot put my feelings in it. Be like, oh my god, I'm not gonna do this ever again. Or, no, they're wrong for thinking that. No. Let people think what they want to think, because you can't control everybody. You know what I'm saying? You can't control people. Let them think what they want to think. Not everybody's going to like you, So I love it. I appreciate it.
Keep working.
Thank you. So your music often deals with individuality. I have a hard time saying that word. And being an outsider, where does that come from? Being an individual, not being amongst Hollywood and trying to get this, trying to get that. Where does that come from?
That comes from? That comes from me having to do things by myself. I have to be very self-sufficient when it comes to these things and putting out these projects and doing things. And when you are a lone wolf doing that, not to say that the producers do not contribute, because the producers absolutely contribute 100%. But when it comes to trying to arrange it and trying to mix it, and I'll have an ear over here every now and then to be able to help me get through some of it. But for the most part, it's like when I gotta make these clips, I gotta promote, or I gotta perform, I gotta do all that stuff. It's like, it's me. I'm the one-stop shop when it comes to that. I'm doing the covers. I'm doing the, I'm doing the promotion. I'm doing the writing. Sometimes I'll rewrite a song 3 or 4 times, or I'll re-record a song 3 or 4 times before it's right. It's just a matter of being able to build your own standards when it's just you. And it's really hard to be self-produced, because a lot of times you miss things. And thank God I have such a great community around me of people that listen and can critique. I can bounce things off Mousequake, or bounce things off Focus, or bounce things off Sandman, or bounce things off my brother, a brother named George, was one of my mentors, and my brother St. Francis out of the Overseers. Like, I get an opportunity for them to be able to hear things that I'm doing, to tell me where the misses are, or where I can change things, or where I can tweak things. So that mentality comes through in my rhymes, because it's just me. It's just me. I hate to still Jay Uso shit. It's like, it's just me, Us. It's just me. I don't have anybody. I'm the beginning and the end when it comes to this over here. So that's how you continue to work. And I keep myself inspired because I'm challenging myself, which ends up making me a stronger artist. It makes me not try to sound like anybody else either, because I'm critiquing and making my own sound better.
Right. Yeah, because when I listen to that song Out of Body, and I've listened to other songs, obviously, it's very it took a minute for me to understand it, because it's so complex, which is a good thing. That means you're not just rapping to be rapping. You're just not talking about any old thing. It's your rhyme skills, the cadence, it's how you rhyme your words together. It's I had to look up some of the words in your rap. I was like, I had to get a Google Doc or the dictionary on the computer, be like, what does that mean? You know, where does that, like, are you trying to challenge the listener? Because I got challenged.
I mean, I feel like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it in the point of I have to make people catch shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want you to do. If you got to go find what does that mean? Okay, that's education to me. That's fine. You know, and to be on that canvas, you know, Sandman and Article, Menu Beats put that together, allow me to be able to rock on that. And anytime that you have that canvas with that type of energy, you have to be able to match it, and you have to say things of value. And I don't never want to cheat nobody and just say a bunch of bullshit that's ABC 1 2 3 that anybody can say. You know, I fancy myself as a great lyricist, and I try my hardest to be able to do that. And when I write with intention, not for just to be throwing words on some shit, because that really never serves a good purpose at all. I want to make sure that people find things out of it. They get things out of it. Maybe they find some entendres in it. Maybe they find some words they never heard, or maybe they find a phrase. Maybe they, you know, give it that rewind value. You know, back in the day when you used to listen to songs and we didn't have a CD player, and we didn't have, you know, streaming, we had to hit that rewind button because we heard a dope line. Let me go back and hear that again and rewind it. And that's the ultimate, you know, that's the ultimate, like, tip of the cap to any MC, is anything that you have that had that rewind value to it, and people can recite your lines. Like, I have people coming up to me and just saying shit that I said, and I think that's super dope. Like, who am I for them to be reciting my rhymes, or reciting a line, or, man, that one line that you said about such and such and such, that shit was crazy. Like, all of that is dope to me, man. So yeah, that's about the gist of it, though.
Yeah. Well, you're Nytelife. That's who you are, you know? So that's where they're getting that from. So do you think people misunderstand your music at all? Do you think that's a possibility? And
I don't think so. You know, some of that shit is smarty pants music, and I understand that. But a lot of that stuff that I do is emotionally driven. Like, I'm going to tell a story. If you go back on Pins and Needles and you hear, you know, I had a song talking about a young man and a young lady who had to go and have an abortion for one of their children, and that experience, you know, that comes from personal experience. That's things that I've been through. You know, when you talk about brokenhearted, or you talk about things that's happening out here with the, you know, with the current regime and government and shit, and talking about those things, you have those type of songs. Those songs are written with intent. When I tell a story, I want to tell a story to beginning to end that doesn't have any holes. Again, that's going to be relatable. So I don't think that anything gets misconstrued. Is some of it over people's heads sometimes? Yeah, it is over their heads. But for the most part, when I really want to get in my bag and make relatable music for people to be able to hear, and I'm just not trying to just showcase my skill set, yeah, it's going to be there and plain and direct. And, you know, I can't, I try to be as versatile as I possibly can to feel like I can just jump into any pocket and do any type of cadence or any type of flow pattern. But for the most part, I want to make sure that content is connecting to folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it is. because so many people, they question the government, and they go through what you're talking about with having to make those tough decisions, abortions or miscarriages or any of that. So I'm pretty sure everybody appreciates that. Listens to music. I'm sure they appreciate that, because it's like, oh yeah, he's tapping into what's going on currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it about the human behavior that fascinates you when you're writing about it, when you're looking at current things that are going on in this world? What is it that fascinates you the most? It could be good or bad.
I think the thing that fascinates me the most is being able to take an emotion that you were going through and to be able to write about that. When I had a friend of mine pass away, I was able to write a song about how I felt in that moment. When my mother died, I wrote a song about how I felt, and my father died, I wrote a song about how I felt. Or if I felt like I was upset, or I was upset with myself, or I was going through mental health struggles, I was being able to write about those things is possibly the greatest superpower that you can have as an artist. The creative space is cool, but for me to be able to go, hey, I was kicking in with Queen, and she made me feel a certain type of way, and to be able to showcase that with a pen, crazy. That may have just been out vibing. That may have been, being introduced to you at NAMM. That may have been, whatever it may be. Writing about those particular moments. Ask Sandman how many times we went out somewhere and I wrote about that night. I do that type of shit because that's Phil. I got a song called Clayton Club where we went over and we had drinks, and the bartenders, our homeboy Nick, that is an excellent bartender over at the Clayton Club out in Sacramento, and I wrote about the night that we was there, and just 3 verses about going through all of those things and what happened and how these things broke down. It's great. I love to be able to do that. That's why I continue writing. I can't stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess it's talking about human behavior. I guess it's what people don't realize is like how important it is to make people feel good. People may not remember your name. They may not remember this detail about you, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. It's always going to stick with them. And that's how I'm glad you answered it like that, because that's like the perfect human behavior. Because that's how we all connect, is by how you make that person feel. Think about how relationships are started.
Yep.
It may be, she's beautiful or whatever, and the aesthetics are there, but that goes away over time,
Yeah.
How the marriage lasts.
Yep.
She makes me feel good, or he makes me feel good, and they do this and that. So I'm like, that's like the perfect answer for that question. I love that.
Yeah, my wife will tell you. She got a billion songs written about her. A billion songs.
Aww.
Good, bad, or indifferent. There's some times I've been pissed off at her. I wrote some songs about being pissed off at her too. So it's just like it just ranges. If I feel it that day and I write it, it's there. It's just getting my stuff off my chest and get my emotions out.
Do you feel like this writing obviously helped you with any, like, especially as a man, emotions, mental health? It's definitely Mental Health Month. June is. You think it's very important that men in particular find something to digress from being emotional or dealing with the hardship in this world?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote myself through a divorce. I my boy Saint tells me, he says, you know what, the thing that you do that's unfair is a lot of us have to grieve. All creative opportunities stop. We just grieve, right? You seem to be able to write yourself through stuff, which he feels like it cheats the grieving process, because because the reason why it was interesting how he laid it out, and And I got it after we talked about it. But what he was saying was that usually you ball up in a ball and cry and go through things and all of that stuff. I don't do that. I basically will write through things, and I'll paint. I just paint, and then once I'm done painting, and then I evaluate the painting, and then I'll allow the emotions to be able to come out at that time after I listen back to it. But for the most part, it's like when I gotta deal with emotions, my pen is the first thing I run to. I don't get mad and punch walls or cry or get upset or anything like that. I really just go, okay, well, man, let me go ahead and put this down, and I'll just record, and then that's my de-stressor. My de-stressor is getting on a mic and just rocking over a beat. That's how I get over a lot of things.
I think that's very, very, very helpful that you do that. Because a lot of people don't know how to cope. They don't have any coping skills, and they turn to other things like drugs or alcohol or anything that's unhealthy, overeating. So I think that's very important for people to know that there's positive ways of letting go of that emotion, because basically all you're trying to do is regulate your nervous system.
Yeah.
And we see it all the time, unfortunately, that people, or they do the unthinkable, they do the unimaginable trying to deal with certain things in life. So I appreciate that. Why do you think, I like how when I listened to that song Out of Body, you spoke about being different and seeing yourself on the, from the outside in. Why do you think most people fear being different?
Well, we're in a society now where being a carbon copy of whatever is going on is the thing that people expect you to do. And it's almost like, okay, well, the thing that's going to make me the money or give me the most attention is for me to be able to do the same things. Like if you look and you have people go out and they follow the same blueprint, like the streamers. The first thing they want to do is they want to go out to a grocery store, and then they want to piss people off and then get thrown out the grocery store, so that way they run their views up. So once they run their views up, then they start doing, it's a step-by-step process, and people follow the formula and it works. So there's not a thing that they want to do that's going to make them different. They want to do the thing that's going to make them successful. And for me, it's like I just want to do whatever is going to be true to me, and whatever is going to be true to people that's around me, to know that the person that they talk to and the person that rhymes is the same person. I'm not some character. I'm not playing a role. Like, it's people know that, they can listen to my rhymes, and then we talk or whatever, and it's going to be this, we're going to have the same tone. And that's part of individuality. You have to be not afraid to do that. Not afraid to put yourself out there, not afraid to put your music out there, not afraid to showcase yourself, because people will be like, it's a lot of times you out there and I'll be out and I'll be performing. I got gray hair, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the most physically fit person out here. I don't look the part of just a traditional MC, so you get judged automatically. Like, okay, well, who's this old cat up here trying to rock on this stage? And then as soon as the music come on, and then the bars start flying, then it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. So you have to not be afraid to go through that initial judgment with things in order to be a highlighted individual. Because you could easily just do the same thing. I could dye my beard, dye my hair, and I can go out and lift a whole bunch of weights, and then make myself palatable to go out there, so people will be like, okay, I really want to hear what he got to say. But it's up to you to be like, okay, well, to have the courage to be like, all right, well, man, I can power through that. I can win this crowd, or I can win these listeners over just by me rhyming.
Right. And I feel that I feel that because social media has in a way, social media has made it seem like that you have to be perfect, have the perfect, especially for women, have to have the perfect figure, a big badonkadonk, in order for a man to like you. So then they go out for the BBLs, and so then they go out and then they get on social media after they do all the aesthetics and stuff like that. They change themselves, not everybody, just some, just so they can fit that part. And I feel like that a lot of men do that too. Like, for instance, I had the people that I produced in the past, they didn't want to put out their music. Well, you've been doing music for 15 years. You never ever put out a song before. Just because they just did not feel comfortable with their looks or how they sounded. Got the skills, have all the potential in the world, just wanted to, be at home and not put anything out.
Right.
So, what other people are saying. So, yeah. Do you think social media, do you think they're doing it to be authentic? Like, do you think, or is it just for money and for sales?
I think there's a lot of different content that's out there, and I try to focus on the positive stuff that's out there. There's some stuff to entertain. I like seeing people fall on their face and laugh and all that shit.
Okay.
And like everybody else, I like to be entertained too. But there's whatever you're looking for is out there if you find it. If you're looking for content that's going to teach you things, or people that's going to say things of value, you're going to be able to find that. If you want to find things of people that's just talking about partying and doing this and that, and or people that's doing negative things and want to rage bait you on shit, you're going to be able to find that. It's social media has the good, the bad, and the ugly that's out there with it. So you're gonna get everything. I don't think it's just necessarily a one type of thing. There may be a dominant type of thing, which is the rage baiting stuff, and a lot of that negative stuff. But there's some great interviews with people, and there's some great podcasts with people, and there's some great there's great content of people that's actually sharing and caring and taking care of the homeless and doing great things for the community, and looking out for other people and doing beautiful things. There's a lot of that that's available for you online. You just have to be able to wade through all the bullshit to find it. So that's kind of the long way of being able to answer that. But I think that's where it is. It's like whatever you're looking for, whatever you need, you can find it. It's just up to you to be able to find it and not be deterred just by some of the constant negativity that you may see that come across your timeline.
Right. True. Yeah. Is that kind of what you were getting to when you were speaking about AI and the hieroglyphics in your song "Out of Body"? Is that what you're kind of referring to? Yeah.
That those lines were shots at originality and being able to be understood. Kids have a lot of things that are being thrown at them as far as with this online thing, and with AI, you don't know what's real and what's fake. Mm-hmm. You can't fake something that's etched in stone. You can look at those things on the walls and of pyramids and stuff like that, and those things that's living embodiments of history that you can't take those away. It may fade and weather may diminish some of the things, but they're there. The characteristics of it will always be there. You can't change that. With AI, you can make it whatever you want. You could make you on the platform right now juggling out of nowhere. You could do that. You could make it. And that's the beauty. That's the gift and the curse of AI. It's I hate it because of that, because it takes away the opportunity for creativity. But it is a tool, and it's a tool that we all use. I use it at work. I use it, as far as if I need to, hey, let me go ahead and throw this resume through ChatGPT for it to clean it up. You have it there. You're not going to get away from it. It's always going to be there. It's just a matter of, you have to have the integrity to use it in the manner in which it should be used, as opposed to you being a lazy ass and cutting corners cutting corners with music, or cutting corners with doing things that, you know, and making content and making people putting people in precarious positions with the content that you're making when it's all fake, you know, and misrepresenting people. And if you're, you know, if you're not doing that, then I think AI has its place. It definitely is not going anywhere, and we have to be able to use it in the context of what will be absolutely useful, as opposed to it being you know, something that's done negatively or just trying to, you know, grab a buck.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely some protection out here too. I think they're using AI too against AI. Like, I had one job interview that said if you use AI for to answer any questions, you will not get this position. So I don't know how they're able to do that. To even tell that you did AI generated. But now they're using it against each other, and I'm like, I don't even. Be authentic, people. That's all we're trying to say in this interview. Be yourself. You know, like, for instance, doing this interview, you know, there may be things in here that, like, we can't remove, and I will not edit it to the point where it's like a robot. This is real human interaction. This is real human, like, we're filming, things happen. So I like to keep that stuff in what I'm interviewing, you know?
Yeah.
So do you think technology is helping or hurting, like, human connection? And what I mean by that, I'm talking about even, like, for instance, sharing files and working with, like, an artist or a producer, instead of getting into the studio. I personally didn't grow up in the era of getting into the studio because you had to, because the equipment was so expensive that you couldn't have Pro Tools at the house. But, like, I feel like something's missing in the connection when I'm working with artists, and when I'm working with producers. I'm like, man, I want to be right there. You give me the feedback. You give me the feedback right there, and then I can fix it, and then we can just go on about our business. What do you think about that?
I mean, you know, I think there's two ways to look at it, and not, you know, to be split down the middle and everything. I'm not really trying to do that, but it's just the things that's being picked at. I really think that first, there's nothing that's going to take the place of live studio interaction with people. When you have artists that you're featuring with, there's a different vibe, there's a different energy, there's a different opportunity to bounce ideas off. You know, when I'm over here and I'm in a writing session with my brothers, it's different. There were times that when I had my label 10 City Recordings, and I had all my artists over here, and we'd be writing verses, and I would start writing my verse, and people would stop and watch me write my verse, and I'd be like, what are y'all doing? No, we just want to see what you're doing. So it's like, it's crazy, you know. Then, you know, helping them, and, you know, trying to, you know, working on writing hooks, or working on, maybe, hey, you could change that. You should say this instead of doing that. Building in real time. You can never be able to get that by bouncing back and forth online. Some people like to do the Zoom, you know, production, and, you know, put together songs on Zoom and all of that, and that's all great. But being in that room with somebody, you know, having a drink, laughing, telling people that shit, you know, hey, that verse was dope, when they come out the studio to pump, when they come out the booth to be able to pump them up, there ain't nothing like that. But on the flip side of that too is, like, you have an opportunity to be able to work with anybody in the world now, and that's great, because, you know, you're not going to be able to, you know, to fly over to New York and work with somebody in New York, or work with somebody overseas, or you're not going to be able to do that. But you have an opportunity to be able to share spaces with people when you can share files. Like, all right, well, I did my verse, so I could send this to, you know, homeboy over in Arizona and have him rock on it and send it back. We'll get it cleaned up and put it out. You know, both of us are on it. We wasn't in the same room, but we still got the vibe, because you vibing off my verse, the first verse that I spit, or whatever, or the hook, or whatever it was, you're able to build. So you don't ever want to throw that part away, because I think that's important, because a lot of the songs that are out now, you never would have got those songs had you not had the opportunity to be able to send files and receive files. So it's a catch 22.
Right. Not Like Us is one of them. When DJ Mustard, when he was talking about, I heard him talk a little bit about it. I think he made it in his private studio, then he sent it off. And they did that whole song, and you see how big that song was. I mean, so yeah, I definitely get it. It's like, I think it's different for everybody, but it definitely has broadened that whole work relationship. I definitely would have to agree with you. If you were to give an advice to artists that are trying to find their own voice, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, if you're trying to find your own voice, I think you have to it all starts from who you're inspired by. Find those things, find the good things you like about the people that you're inspired by. You can mimic those things early to be able to craft who it is that you want to be, and then you can elevate off of that. But everybody starts with somebody else's inspiration. Everybody is idolizing somebody. Everybody wanted to rap like somebody at one time, or everybody wanted to produce like somebody at one time. Nobody just gets in there and produces and says that I just want to be a producer because I want to be a producer. Somebody inspired them. So it's like, you're as good as what your inspirations are, and everybody copies and everybody copies and takes things and uses things for themselves. It's just a matter of you being able to use that as practice to hone in on what it is that you want to do, and then elevate off of that. And as long as you're doing that, I think that's fine. And that's how you create your individuality. It's always spun off of what your inspirations are. Use your inspirations to build your own individuality. Nobody just starts from scratch and just comes out of nowhere to just do it. Kendrick was inspired by somebody. Drake was inspired by somebody. All of these artists were inspired by somebody. So it's like the inspiration is where it starts from, because that builds your love, your understanding of how hard you're going to have to work at it, and what you actually have to do to cultivate your own sound.
Right. Do you think the inspiration, like say somebody is inspired by somebody, can they take it too far with where it turns into an admiration or obsession or any of that? Do you feel like it could be taken too far?
Yeah, I mean, if you get to a point where you're just a carbon copy of what somebody else is doing, then I think that's wrong. I think, like I said, I think that it all starts there, because I was listening. I came up and I love DOC and I love Nas. And I was writing rhyme patterns like them, trying to mimic what they were doing, and trying to make rhymes as far as like they were doing. But if I just continued at that pace, and I never evolved into something else, and I just was straight just copying and doing the same shit that they were doing, it's just like, then you're cheating yourself at that point, and you're not respecting the artist that inspired you, because you can't evolve into something else. You can't make your own sound. And yeah, some of that is obsession, because they look at the fame that people are getting, or they may be getting money, or they may be getting adoration behind it, and they look at that and be like, well, if I do the exact same thing that they did, just like them, then I can be just like them, and I can have exactly what they have. And that's kind of what your younger artists kind of are out there doing, to an extent. I think now that individuality is starting to really grow, and there's a change in music that's happening, which I think is beautiful, because we're getting back to artistry and rhyming, and people really wanting to showcase their skills and song building and doing all of those things and being individuals. But some people are just like, okay, well, the formula is this, I followed the formula, so I'm going to go ahead and get the same rewards that this other artist got.
Right. And you think that's one of the biggest mistakes of a new creator?
Yeah, because you have to evolve out of mimicking people or chasing you're chasing money, or you're chasing you're chasing popularity, or you're chasing money. That's the wrong thing to create off of.
Right.
It's a way to support your family, and some people are starving, and some people, they ribs is touching, so they got to do what they got to do to survive and take care of their family. Cool, I got you. But you have to, if you're going to be an artist and you want to be taken seriously as an artist and be memorable, then you have to evolve off of that creation of doing the 1, 2, 3 ABC shit.
Right. I definitely agree with you. So what do you what's next for you? I know you're working on Pins and Needles. What else are you doing?
Well, I have 3 projects that I'm working on. That I'm working on that are done, that I'm going to put out. One is Collateral Damage, which is a spinoff of this project I had called C4 that I did with this producer called Rage Aurelius. This is the second edition with him. Mousequake is actually in the process of mixing and mastering that. Shout out to Mousequake. I have a project with Brain God Blabs. It's called Karma, and that is just tremendous. We're still in the process of being able to put together songs with that. I have a project that I'm doing that I did with my brother old Ricky, called Eyes Wide Shut, and that is just a straight, if you're looking for like a straight hip-hop album, like that's from beginning to end, like all elements of hip-hop is on that album. So I'm really proud of that. My goal at the start of this year was that I was going to put all of those things out, leave no stone unturned, put as many projects out as I could, and at the end of the year, I'm looking at having 15 projects out, because I got those 3, and I have all the Pins and Needles. That'll be 15 projects. Then I got the feather in my cap. It's gonna be busy, and people gonna be sick of seeing me, but that's what I want to do. I want to accomplish my goal.
Is your goal, like, is it every 3 months putting something out, every 2 months, like, or it's just putting it out?
Man, Pins and Needles is every month. So I'm putting the EP out every month with that. The projects, I'll probably try to break those up in the quarters, just to be able to give it some distance so we can promote it properly, and then invest the proper resources in to be able to make the projects as great as they could possibly be. And then as they start to tail off, come back with a newer project. And if I lay it out the way I want to lay it out, it'll all work out in the end. I'm just extremely proud of all of the stuff that I'm doing now. So it's been an amazing ride.
Yeah. And what I love so much is, I think I noticed it a couple times, where the producers that you work with and stuff, they have incorporated some classic rock, or some classic rock or 80s or something mixed in with hip hop, and I absolutely love that. That's like, some such a big classic rock, 70s, 80s, some of the 90s, even some of the 60s. I love how you guys incorporate all that together. Like, I noticed that a couple times with your music.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, this is what a lot of the stuff that gets sampled is stuff my mother used to play in the morning when she was cleaning. I get up in the morning, she's blasting her speakers at 7:00 in the morning. She's,
wow,
dusting and cleaning and vacuuming, and, she's, running around cleaning up after me or whatever. And I hear those things, and people hear her music down the block. Like, man, Miss Mitchell was up this hella early this morning, and she got these big old speakers in the living room, and she blasting them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that vibe comes from. So those things that I hear, hear Stevie Wonder songs, or hear Barry White songs, or hear any of like Elton John shit, or whatever it is that she played that came through those speakers, Peebo Bryson, whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
those things get sampled. That has an elevated energy to me, to be able to get me to write, because I relate to all of that stuff. It gives me a feel. It makes me feel like my mother's home. So it makes it easier for me to write. Sandman's really good at being able to pick samples. Article is really good at being able to come together with him and pick samples, and to be able to bring that stuff out of me, because a lot of stuff he will make, and I'll be like, Okay, I'm just gonna tell you to take that off the board. I'm gonna write to that. So just just put
Right.
just put that aside, because it got a feel. It got a feel. It got a soul. If that shit got a soul, I'm writing to it. That's just how I get out.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole Easy Lover, you know, when he mixed that in with that, wow, I was like, what? Who could do that? You know? And then you wrap it on top of that, like, I just went nuts. Like, that's something that you can nod your head to. Doesn't get old. You know, I love the whole vibe to that song, for sure.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of fun questions for you before we head out. One of them is, and I always ask my guests this: what is your favorite food? What can't you live without? Like, you have to have it.
You know what? To be honest, man, like, barbecue is my bag. A good set of ribs is always fire. My cousin Omar makes real good ribs, man, and I just love barbecue. Like, I love barbecue. It's like my guilty pleasure. It's probably why I'm the size I am, is because eating barbecue. That's my food. And then, you know, I also can go for a good burger every now and then too. I love a good burger.
Okay. What kind of, like, is it pork rib or is it beef rib?
Oh, a pork rib. Yeah.
I like pork too. I ain't gonna lie. I like it too.
Yep.
And then, what is your favorite dream vacation or favorite destination that you ever been to?
Hawaii's probably been the best vacation experience that I've had. I went for me and my wife's honeymoon. Aww. And just the serenity and just being able to just take in the weather and how nice everything is, and just getting away from the rest of the world at that point. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest experiences there is. And that's why you kind of just love traveling and vacation and stuff anyway, because that's an opportunity to step away from work. It's an opportunity to step away from anything that's stressing you. And that's what Hawaii represents to me. I loved Hawaii.
What part did you go to? What island?
Kauai.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard much about that one.
Yeah, we was in the old folks island. That's what they call it. It's the old folks island. It's slow and go. Just like I need it. I don't need to go to Honolulu and be turning up over there. It's like I don't need that. I need to relax. We need to be with the old folk.
So, yeah, why would you go on vacation so you can come back and take a vacation?
Right.
Because you've been partying the whole time and you're hungover and all. I never understood that. When I went on cruises, I've been on 9 or 10 cruises. Every last one of them, I'm in bed by 8:00. I never stay up late. If I do, it's to watch the shows. And then, like, you know, the next day we're doing excursions. I'm not staying up all day and all night drinking and gambling and being on the rooftop or you know, on the deck and dancing night. That's just not me. I want to be there to experience the island and the culture and eat the food. That's me. That's how.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm going on a cruise. My birthday is at the end of the month, so I'm going on a cruise, going to the Bahamas. So that's
the
a good time.
Yeah. Just real quick, what islands are you going to?
It's a real short cruise, so we're going to the Bahamas. I don't even know what island we're going to. I'm going along for the ride. I'm taking for my birthday. I'm just go enjoy myself and have a good time.
Right. Yeah. If you do Belize, oh my gosh, Half Moon Cay. If you're doing Carnival, what you got over there? Oh, you got a bunch of stuff. Nassau, if I'm saying that right. Yeah, there's a bunch of Jamaica.
Yeah.
They're all good. Every last one of them's good.
Yep.
Well, it's been real. Thank you for hopping on. And is there anything else you would like to let the people know?
If I'm going to promote things, Pins and Needles Volume 6 will be out next week. So I'll have that going. I got a lot of work ahead of me for this weekend just to get that prepared. And also, you know, on the 25th, the Gauntlet Beat Battle rages on. The bracket, the bracket is kicked off, man. We got the mano and mano battle. It's going to be crazy. So make sure you show up, man. It's It's gonna be great. I'm going to miss that gauntlet, unfortunately, because I will be on vacation. But I'll be tuning in just like the rest, and I'll be in the seats with the rest of the crowd this time, and won't be in a judge's chair. But it doesn't make me love it any less.
Right. Lynn's and he'll be there.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Well, that wraps up our interview, and thank you for coming on, and I hope everybody enjoys. Peace out.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
All right.